Today on the Travel Magazine, we'll take you to the end of the land, Canada's beautiful Gaspe Peninsula, where we'll enjoy fresh lobster and a good adventure on Bonaventure Island, a famous seabird sanctuary.
This site has been preserved, that it has not vanished.
We'll visit Miigwech Park and travel back in time 370 million years, and also visit the lighthouse.
Whether you like a passive holiday or rugged adventure, the Gaspe Peninsula, or Gaspésie as they say in Quebec, is the destination for you. Hi, I'm Jake de Boer.
And I'm Mieke de Boer. Welcome to Bonaventure Island. And join us as we visit the Gaspe region in the province of Quebec.
The Gaspe region is situated where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and the St. Lawrence River begins dividing the province of Quebec in two. 900 kilometers from the cosmopolitan city of Montreal and 675 from the provincial capital, Quebec City, visitors to the Gaspe are greeted by 3,000 kilometers of breathtaking coastline. Geographically, the region is the northern end of the Appalachian mountain range, which extends all the way from Alabama. The sea is a constant presence here, its ever-changing face, smiling one day, raging coldly the next on a warm-hearted people who have forged a living from these waters generation after generation. The word Gaspe comes from the Mi'kmaq term Gespeg, which means the end of the land. The area is also known as the Cradle of Canada because it is here in 1534 that the French explorer Jacques Cartier planted his cross and claimed the land for the King of France. Percé is a vibrant coastal village of 4,000 inhabitants, where a modern tourism-based economy embraces the traditions of the past. Visitors are as welcome as a full lobster trap. And whether you want to stroll the shops, be guided through a rich and exciting history, or simply stroll the coastline hand in hand, you are never far from one of nature's truly magnificent cathedrals, Rocher Percé, or the Pierced Rock.
It is for us, for example, what Eiffel Tower is for Paris, but it is a natural monument that we have behind us. And we have created a national park here because the Percé Rock has on its top a bird colony. It is a bird sanctuary. So the rock is beautiful by itself, it's spectacular, but when we go around the rock, when we look at it, we can find several species of birds nesting on the top of it. I would say there's a key word to describe the Gaspésie. It is the richness of the water. 7 species of fishes. It goes from smelt, catlins, herrings, mackerels, and all those fishes attract seabirds. So that's why we have hundreds of thousands of seabirds here in the surrounding. And those fish and the planktons attract the whales also. We have 13 different species of whales coming back during the summertime to find their food supply here in the Gulf of St. Lawrence.
Here, a harmony of shape and color greets you. The perfect union of mountains and sea. Cliffs of limestone plunge hundreds of feet into the St. Lawrence like the bows of giant ships, forever facing the beckoning waters. According to legend, when God created the world, He took special care in the creation of the great rocks and mountains. And He asked one of His favorite angels to place these mountains across the earth as a symbol of His eternal power. This area, being the end of the land, was the angel's last stop, but his cloak was still quite full. Tired and weary, the angel simply shook out the remaining peaks. And this is why there are so many mountains in the Gaspe. This world-renowned arch may very well have been 2 arches at one time. But over 375 million years, time and the sea have taken their toll, revealing a wealth of fossilized treasures, as well as the treasures of the sea. At 450 meters long and 88 meters high, the pierced rock loses 375 tons of its mass every year. But don't worry, at this rate, the hundreds of thousands who visit each year will be able to enjoy the spectacular landmark for many millennium to come. The ride to Bonaventure Island reveals even more majestic scenery. Home to the second largest gannet colony in the world, the 1,800-acre island was declared a bird sanctuary in 1919. Some say the island got its name because of the great fishing, making every trip a bonaventure or good adventure. Others say it was because Jacques Cartier anchored nearby on July the 15th, 1534, St. Bonaventure Day. Today, more than 200,000 seabirds inhabit the area at various times of the year, feasting on the rich sea life and creating a major tourist attraction.
Bonaventure Island is the largest colony in North America. $85,000 gannets here presently on Bonaventure Island. The name gannet means crazy. It's the male that chooses the territory at the age of 5. Then the female will fence with the male to lower his aggressivity. You have a binocular vision. The two eyes are situated right in front. They can dive from a height of about 30 meters and at a speed of 100 kilometers an hour. They will hit the surface of the water. So they do have airbags at the level of the breast to protect them.
When we return, we'll travel back in time 370 million years.
The fish of Miguasha are not only fish, they are part of them, because Miguasha is part of humanity.
Later, sentinels of the sea, keepers of the light.
In 200 years, we won't be here, the satellite too, but this will still be there.
Still to come, the meticulously cultivated Redford Gardens and the enchanting blue poppy.
It is lobster time, and we should drink of it. We will be back with more of the Travel Magazine just after this, so stay with us.
Welcome back to the Travel Magazine and the ancient beauty of the Gaspe region of Quebec. Miguasha Park is located on the north shore of the Ristigouche River estuary in the town of Novelle. The park features a fossil laboratory demonstration where visitors can learn firsthand the essential techniques used in fossil extraction and identification.
Miguasha is known as one of the best sites in the world for the Devonian period, or what is known also as the Age of Fishes. There was no amphibian, no reptiles, no birds, no mammals. One of these major group of fish is the acanthodians. It's a group that doesn't exist today. It's what we call spiny fish or spiny sharks. The most important group of fish that we find in Miguasha is named the lobe-finned fishes, or sarcopterygians, just at the transition between the fish and the first animal to walk on the surface of the land. One of the group that is preserved here, it's called the lungfishes. In Miguasha, we have two representatives of two different species of lungfishes.
The cliffs of Miguasha Park contain an amazing assortment of fossils. First discovered in 1842 by Dr. Abraham Gessner, the land was acquired by the government of Quebec in the 1970s and was designated as a conservation park in 1985. The historical importance of Miguasha Park was confirmed in 1991 when a meeting of world-leading paleontologists was held here. The park is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Here is where the big work starts, you know, they are trying to discover the stones.
Yeah, and you know, and they're digging back in the past, and I'm speaking about 350 to 400 million years ago.
The fossils indicate that 370 million years ago, this was a steaming equatorial forest, similar to the Amazon jungle.
One of the specimens that was found today is one of these large plants. What you can see on this specimen here, it's the leaves that are preserved in 3 dimensions. So it's very exceptional, and it's giving us information about some of the first forests that was 370 million years ago.
A 90-minute tour takes you on a 1.9-kilometer walk along the Evolution of Life Trail, where informative panels tell our planet's history. The tour also includes a visit to the famous cliffs where some 23 species of fish, 4 invertebrate species, 9 plant species, and 66 types of spores were discovered.
The specimen, when it was found in the cliffs, so it was found like this. The rock was split, and what we have here, it's a almost complete specimen in which we see part of the skull and part of the body. So we see very nicely on this specimen the bones within the fin, which are exactly the same thing as our bone. So this is a live discovery of one of these fish from the Esquimalt Formation. Once a fossil is found on the cliff, I mean, that's when the real work starts, in fact. We bring the specimen in the lab, and the first thing to do is basically to wash it because there is a lot of clay around the specimen. So that the first part, when we know what we're dealing with, then we're doing the preparation. We are using different type of tools, dentist tools. We're using also electric engraver. So we are removing all the rock surrounding the specimen so that we can see exactly the fine detail of the specimen. It takes from, let's say, a couple of hours to up to 200 or 300 hours to prepare a single specimen. We have specific number for each specimen. Then we put the specimen in the collection, and that's where they will be stored. The nicest specimen will be displayed, and some of the other specimens will be studied for scientific publication, for general public publication as well.
Miguasha is a jewel because it bears the closest fish to the tetrapod, the first animal that walked on the planet. And the people then learn that Miguasha is part of them because we do share some genes with the animal that were living 370 million years ago. Suddenly, the shock of the past is terrible for some time, like they don't believe us, but at the end, they live very happy, and what we want them to leave is mostly pride, that the fish of Miguasha are not only fish, they are part of them, because Miguasha is part of humanity.
Coming up on the Travel Magazine, we'll visit the beautiful Redwood Gardens.
Let me take you into my living room. This is a garden which has been built by 2 landscape architects from Montreal, complete with a sofa, television set, with this fabulous garden room.
And later, the lighthouse at La Marque.
We will be back with more of the travel magazine and the Gaspe just after this, so stay with us.
Welcome back to the Travel Magazine and the awesome beauty of La Gaspésie. Come with us now to the world-famous Refford Gardens, where you'll find more than 2,000 different varieties of perennial plants in exquisite settings.
This park is an area of 40 acres. They have about 25 gardeners working here. And the first president of Canadian Pacific Railways used this as a fishing lodge because there's a lot of salmon in the St. Lawrence here. And he is the one that started the garden. And it has just grown ever since. They have 100,000 visitors a year. And anybody that comes to the Gaspe really should stop here. Look at these flowers here.
It is beautiful.
The gardens are one of Quebec's most popular tourist attractions and are nurtured along by Alexander Refford, great-grandson of their founder, Elsie Refford. In 1995, the Refford Gardens were declared a National Historic Site.
The blue poppy is one of the reasons many people come to the gardens. It's a rare enough plant that very few gardens in the world have it. So we have people who come to this garden just to see this plant in bloom, which it does from mid-June through mid-July, which they would otherwise only see in a few gardens around the world and perhaps, if they're fortunate, in the high alpine valleys of the Tibetan Himalayas.
Special events are frequent at the gardens, from horticultural lessons and workshops to the installation and presentation of gardens as works of art.
Let me take you into my living room. This is a garden which has been built by 2 landscape architects from Montreal, complete with a sofa, television set, with this fabulous garden room. This garden is called Not in My Backyard. Why? Because it's 2 young landscape architects telling us that everything can be recycled and everything can be used in a garden. This is the Blue Stick Garden, which has been designed by Montreal landscape architect Claude Cormier. Blue sticks, obviously, because the sticks are blue, which is a reference to the blue poppies, which are our emblematic flower. And it's also a reference to the long walk. And here's you turn around, surprise, orange on the 4th face.
You know, Jake, the Gaspe has got more to offer.
Yeah.
They are very famous for their lighthouses, and I think we should go and visit one.
Well, there's one very close to here. It was constructed, I believe, in 1906. It's made of wood. It is fire engine red, and it's supposed to be exceptional, so let's go there.
From the time of the earliest settlements, lighthouses have stood as the sentinels of the sea, guiding fishermen and sailors safely through the treacherous and far too often deadly coastal waters. The famous lighthouse at La Marque is one of a number of picturesque beacons that adorn the region. It is also home to a very interesting exhibit detailing the history and evolution of the lighthouse. With today's electronics and technology, most lighthouses no longer employ a lighthouse keeper. Fortunately for us, Yves Foucault is still here.
Look, those gear, they have 94 years, 2.5 tons, and they're turning like this since 94 years. And you can see they're like brand new. You know why? Because it's floating on a mercury bed. No friction at all. So you can see, look, 2.5 tons like this, and you're starting like this with a finger. They were genius at that time, eh? The quality of work and metal. Today, it's impossible to have that. In 200 years, like all the lighthouses, they're closing now because of the GPS by satellite. But anyway, in 200 years, we won't be here, the satellite too, but this will still be there.
It was in the 16th century when Basque sailors first discovered the abundant fishing grounds here in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. For those who inhabit the coastal regions of the Gaspe today, fishing is still an important part of daily life. And though the boats, equipment and techniques are constantly being refined, the lure of the sea, the back-breaking labor, and the dangers endured by those who call themselves fishermen have changed very little over the centuries.
Jake, we are 5 minutes away from Persay, and this is the end of the lobster season. And you know, the stories of the fishermen, the one is bigger and better than the other one. And I tell you, it's party time, because it is lobster time.
Absolutely.
And we should drink of that.
Talk about local flavor. It doesn't get any better than this. Simple hospitality on a simply grand scale. You can even hear the centuries in the music. Acadian reels celebrate another happy harvest from the sea and a gathering of friends old and new. A fiddler's song and a glass of wine. Traditions etched in the hearts of a people, like fossils, etched in rocks here at the end of the land, here in La Gaspésie.
Jake, the region of the Gaspe is really a hidden jewel. And I really enjoyed visiting the Bonaventure Island, the bird paradise, and watching the whales. And what did you enjoy?
Well, you know, I love the ruggedness. Miguisha Park, you know, where you go 370 million years back in history. And, you know, and on top of that, we're at the lighthouse, built in 1906. There is so much to see and do, but you know what? We're out of time. And that's it for this edition of the Travel Magazine. I'm Jake de Boer.
And I'm Mieke de Boer, and join us again as we travel the world.
If you visit this place, you will go back and tell yourself, my God, I didn't have enough time. We are friendly people here. We love to meet people. That's the best you can get when you come to the Gaspésie Peninsula.